First blood in orbit. Commander Elena Rossi wasn't supposed to be awake when humanity discovered it wasn't alone in the universe. The night shift at Orbital Defense Network Station 7 was usually quiet, perfect for catching up on maintenance logs, while junior officers monitored Earth's constellation of weather and communication satellites. But tonight, something had pulled her from her quarters to the command center, a nagging feeling she couldn't explain. Another glitch in Grid 4, Commander, Lieutenant Park reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Third one this week. Engineering says it's normal degradation, but you don't believe that, Rossi finished, studying the readout. The pattern of satellite failures was too precise, too methodical. In 15 years of orbital operations, she'd never seen equipment failure move in such a calculated way. She was about to order a full diagnostic when every screen in the command center suddenly flickered. For a fraction of a second, the orbital tracking display showed dozens of objects that shouldn't exist, shapes that defied normal geometry, moving through Earth's orbital lanes with impossible precision. "Tell me someone else saw that," Park whispered, his face pale in the blue glow of his console. Rossi was already moving, her hands flying across the command station's emergency protocols. Station 7 to all ODN facilities, initiating emergency protocol Sierra 97. This is not a drill. Repeat, not a drill. The response was immediate. Around the Earth, 15 orbital defense stations switched to combat status, a capability that officially didn't exist. Civilian satellites began emergency shutdown procedures as hidden military systems powered up, revealing a defense network that had been invisibly maintaining watch for decades. Multiple contacts. Park's voice cracked with tension. They're emerging from some kind of phase shift. I've never seen energy signatures like these. On the main display, Rossi watched as the alien vessels fully materialized. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, crystalline structures that seemed to flow and shift, somehow maintaining perfect formation despite moving through orbital space in ways that violated every law of physics she knew. "They're targeting our communication satellites," Senior Officer John reported from the tactical station. "Pattern suggests they're trying to isolate population centers from each other, classic precursor to invasion." Rossi felt a chill run down her spine. The aliens clearly expected this to be easy, a simple operation to disable Earth's primitive communication network before whatever came next. They hadn't bothered to target military installations or defense platforms. Why would they? According to every official record, humanity had no weapons in orbit. Well then, Rossi allowed herself a grim smile. Let's show them why that was a mistake. Execute Operation Falling Star. Across Earth's orbital sphere, innocent-looking maintenance satellites suddenly transformed. Solar panels retracted, revealing weapon ports. Communication dishes realigned into targeting arrays. What had appeared to be simple orbital debris became mines, their passive sensors now actively tracking the alien vessels. "They're not reacting," Park noted, surprise evident in his voice. "Their formation hasn't changed. Because their sensors are still calibrated for what they expected to find," Rossi explained. "They're looking for military-grade power signatures, advanced weapon systems. They're not looking for what we actually built." What humanity had built was elegant in its simplicity. Unable to match the theoretical capabilities of potential alien weapons, Earth's engineers had gone in the opposite direction. Their orbital defense network consisted of thousands of small, independently operating units, each powered by simple chemical batteries and armed with equally simple weapons, mass drivers that accelerated small pellets to astronomical speeds using proven magnetic technology. "All stations reporting ready," Zhang announced. "Targeting solutions locked." Rossi took a deep breath. In a few seconds, humanity would fire the first shots in what could become an interstellar war. The fate of their species might depend on what happened next. Execute Fire Plan Alpha. Let's show them what humanity can do. The battle that followed would later be called the 20-Minute War by historians. The alien vessels, for all their advanced technology, were completely unprepared for the sheer chaos of human combat doctrine. Their perfect formation became a liability as thousands of hypervelocity projectiles filled orbital space, each one barely more sophisticated than what humanity had first launched into space centuries ago. When the alien ships tried to phase shift to safety, they discovered another human innovation. The orbital debris field they had dismissed as primitive untidiness was actually a carefully maintained defensive screen, its seemingly random patterns designed to disrupt the exact kind of quantum field manipulations their ships relied on. "They're retreating," Park reported, his voice filled with disbelief. "3 ships destroyed, 2 heavily damaged. The rest they're running." Rossi watched the alien vessels flee, their perfect formation now broken, their crystalline hulls scarred by impacts from humanity's primitive weapons. In the end, humanity's first space combat victory had been achieved not through technological superiority, but through preparation, misdirection, and the willingness to embrace unconventional solutions. "Send word to command," she ordered, already thinking about the challenges ahead. Tell them the sky isn't empty anymore, and humanity just proved we belong among the stars." As cleanup operations began, Rossi stood at the station's observation window, watching the sun rise over Earth. They had won their first battle, but she knew it wouldn't be their last. The aliens would return, better prepared and with more respect for humanity's capabilities. But humanity would be ready too, and they had just learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the best way to fight the future is to embrace the past. The age of human space combat had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The quantum bridge. Dr. Amara Patel stood in the secure laboratory beneath Mount Cheyenne, staring at the twisted piece of crystalline material floating in the containment field. 6 months after humanity's first space battle, this fragment of alien technology still defied conventional analysis. But Amara had never been one to follow conventional approaches. Running test sequence 17, her assistant, Dr. David Chen, announced from behind the safety barrier. "Quantum field active in 3, 2, 1. The alien fragment pulsed with an inner light as the test equipment activated. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Then the quantum sensors exploded in a shower of sparks, and emergency sirens began blaring. "Containment holding," David reported, his fingers flying across the control panel. "But we just lost another set of sensors." "That's the 3rd one this week." Amara didn't respond immediately, her attention fixed on the readouts from the failed test. There was something about the way the alien technology interacted with their quantum field generators, something that reminded her of. "David," she said slowly, "what if we're thinking about this all wrong? We keep trying to analyze this technology using our most advanced equipment. But what if that's the problem?" She walked to the main computer terminal, pulling up the data from all their failed tests. "Look at this pattern. Every time we try to probe the alien tech with our quantum sensors, they fail. But it's not random failure. The sensors are being overwhelmed by feedback from their own quantum fields." David frowned. "That doesn't make sense. Our quantum technology is primitive compared to theirs. The feedback shouldn't be strong enough to cause this kind of cascade failure. Unless..." Amara's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "That's exactly why it's happening. Our quantum fields are messy compared to theirs, full of fluctuations and imperfections. What if those imperfections are actually creating interference patterns that their technology can't handle?" The next series of tests proved her theory correct. The alien technology was built around principles of perfect quantum field manipulation, so perfect that it couldn't adapt to the natural variations present in human-made systems. It was like trying to run precision digital equipment through an analog interface. The noise in the system caused unexpected reactions. This discovery led to Project Bridgemaker, humanity's first attempt to create hybrid human-alien technology. Instead of trying to replicate the aliens' perfect quantum manipulation, Amara's team deliberately introduced controlled imperfections into their systems. The results were unpredictable, often explosive, but also revolutionary. It's like teaching two different languages to talk to each other. Amara explained to the Joint Chiefs 3 months later. We're not just translating. We're creating a whole new dialect, one that combines alien precision with human adaptability. The first successful prototype was a defensive shield generator that combined alien quantum field technology with human electromagnetic systems. The hybrid shield wasn't as powerful as pure alien shields, but it could adapt to different types of attacks in ways the original technology never could. The aliens built their technology to be perfect, Amara told her team as they celebrated their first successful test. But in combat, perfection can be a weakness. Sometimes you need systems that can bend without breaking. The real breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. During a routine power fluctuation, one of the hybrid shield generators started displaying unusual behavior. Instead of failing, it began creating quantum field patterns that neither human nor alien technology was supposed to be capable of generating. "It's learning," David whispered, watching the readouts with amazement. The human components are introducing random variations, and the alien quantum systems are adapting to them. They're evolving together. This discovery revolutionized humanity's approach to space combat technology. Ships were equipped with hybrid systems that could adapt and evolve during battle. Weapons were designed to introduce controlled chaos into enemy defenses. Even ship hulls were rebuilt using materials that combined alien crystalline structure with human metallurgy, creating armor that could learn from damage and become stronger. But not everyone was happy with this direction. Traditional military leaders argued for focusing on pure alien technology adaptation. Why work with inferior systems when we could learn to master their superior technology? One general demanded during a project review. Amara's response became famous throughout the scientific community. Because we're not trying to become them. We're trying to become better versions of ourselves. The truth of her words would be proven sooner than anyone expected. Long-range sensors detected a new alien fleet entering the solar system, larger and more advanced than the first. But this time, humanity wasn't defenseless. In orbital shipyards across Earth, vessels equipped with hybrid technology prepared for battle. As Amara watched the first hybrid drive warship launch from her laboratory's observation deck, she remembered something her grandmother used to say. The strongest bridges are built from both banks of the river. Humanity had built their bridge to the stars not by abandoning their technology for something more advanced, but by finding ways to make both technologies stronger together. The next battle would test whether that bridge was strong enough to hold. But whatever happened, humanity had already achieved something the aliens might never understand. They had proven that sometimes the path forward requires embracing both where you came from and where you're going. The age of hybrid warfare was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Fleet of the Rising Stars. Admiral Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the UES Hyperion, Earth's first hybrid drive battleship, watching the tactical display with growing concern. The alien fleet approaching Mars wasn't just larger than the first invasion force, it was organized differently. Gone were the crystalline ships arranged in perfect geometric patterns. These vessels moved with deliberate unpredictability, clearly having learned from their first encounter with human tactics. "They've been studying us," his XO, Commander Yuki Tanaka, observed quietly. "Those formation changes look almost human." "Almost," Torres agreed, noting how the alien ships still maintained precise spacing even within their looser formations. "But they're trying to copy our methods without understanding why they work. That's an advantage we can use." The human fleet gathered behind Mars' larger moon, Phobos, consisted of 30 ships, a mix of converted civilian vessels and purpose-built warships, all equipped with hybrid technology. They were outnumbered 3-1, but Torres had no intention of fighting a conventional battle. "All ships, execute Operation Starfall," he ordered. "Remember your training. Don't try to match their precision. Make them match yours." The battle began with what appeared to be a serious human error. The Hyperion's hybrid drive suffered a momentary containment fluctuation, causing its quantum signature to spike erratically. The alien fleet immediately moved to exploit this apparent weakness, their forward elements breaking formation to pursue what they thought was a crippled vessel. That's when the trap was sprung. The Hyperion's malfunction was actually a controlled manipulation of its hybrid systems, creating quantum interference patterns that disrupted the aliens' targeting systems. As the enemy ships moved to attack, they found their perfect tactical calculations thrown off by sensor readings that refused to stabilize. Second wave. Now, Torres commanded. From behind Phobos, the rest of the human fleet emerged, their hybrid drives deliberately out of sync with each other. To alien sensors, it must have looked like chaos, a fleet of ships with malfunctioning engines charging into battle without any apparent coordination. But there was a pattern to the chaos. Human crews had trained for months to operate in this state of controlled disorder. Each ship's quantum signature interference complemented the others, creating a complex web of disruption that played havoc with alien targeting systems. "They're trying to compensate," Tanaka reported, watching the enemy fleet's response. "Their formation is tightening. They're falling back on their standard tactics." Torres allowed himself a grim smile. "That's their mistake. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta 7. Show them why perfection is the enemy of survival." What followed was unlike any space battle in human history. The human fleet moved like a school of fish, each ship's actions influencing and being influenced by the others. When alien weapons fire sought a target, they found only void where sensor readings had indicated a ship should be. When alien shields braced for impact from one direction, hybrid weapons struck from another. The battle's turning point came when the aliens attempted to coordinate their quantum fields into a single massive defensive barrier. In theory, it should have been an impenetrable defense. In practice, it gave the human fleet exactly what they needed: a perfect system to corrupt. "All ships, switch to frequency pattern Chaos 3, Torres ordered. Every human vessel began broadcasting different, deliberately unstable quantum signatures. The alien barrier, attempting to adapt to multiple conflicting patterns simultaneously, began to develop anomalies. Small at first, these imperfections grew exponentially as the barrier tried to maintain its perfect structure while accounting for increasingly chaotic input. The alien commander must have realized the danger too late. By the time they ordered their ships to break the coordinated defense, the quantum cascade had already begun. Their perfect barrier collapsed in on itself, the released energy temporarily disrupting every alien system tied into the network. "All ships, open fire," Torres commanded. "Don't give them time to recover." Human hybrid weapons struck alien vessels still reeling from the feedback of their own failed defense. Ships that could have easily survived conventional attacks found their perfect hulls riddled with fractures where hybrid weapons had introduced controlled imperfections into their molecular structure. When the battle ended, 17 alien ships had been destroyed or disabled. The rest retreated, their once perfect formation now ragged and uncertain. The human fleet had lost 5 ships, a painful cost, but far less than anyone had expected against such overwhelming odds. "Message from Earth Command," Tanaka reported. "They're asking how we achieved this victory against superior numbers and technology." Torres looked out at Mars hanging in the void, its red surface a reminder of humanity's first steps into space. "Tell them we won because we stopped trying to be perfect. In space combat, just like in nature, the ability to adapt is more important than the ability to achieve perfection." As recovery operations began, Torres received a surprising transmission, a communication from the retreating alien fleet. The message was short but clear. "Your methods defy tactical logic. Your ships operate in ways that should not be possible. You have become something new." "No," Torres transmitted back. "We've simply remembered something very old, that life itself arose not from perfection, but from chaos and adaptation. We're not defying nature. We're embracing it." The Battle of Mars marked a turning point in human space combat doctrine. Future ships would be designed not to achieve perfect performance, but to operate effectively in states of controlled chaos. Crews would train not to eliminate uncertainty, but to use it as a weapon. The galaxy was beginning to learn a lesson humanity had known since its earliest days, that true strength comes not from achieving perfection, but from learning to thrive in its absence. The Titan Gambit. Captain Aisha Rahman watched the swirling storms of Saturn through the observation deck of the UES Artemis, her mind as turbulent as the gas giant's atmosphere. The long-range sensors had detected what everyone had been dreading. The largest alien fleet yet seen was approaching the outer solar system. This wasn't another probing attack or show of force. This was an armada meant to end the human problem once and for all. Final count is in, her tactical officer, Lieutenant Carlos Mendoza, reported. 217 alien vessels, including 3 carriers we've never seen before. They're not even trying to hide their approach. Why should they? Rahman replied, studying the tactical display. They outnumber our entire fleet 4-1. They probably think this will be a simple cleanup operation. The human defense force consisted of 54 ships gathered near Saturn. The gas giant's complex system of moons, rings, and electromagnetic fields made it ideal for the kind of unconventional warfare humanity had perfected over the last 2 years. But even with every advantage, the coming battle would push human adaptability to its absolute limits. Message from Admiral Chen, Mendoza announced. Operation Labyrinth is approved. We're go for Phase 1. Rahman nodded, having already memorized the audacious battle plan. Signal the mining ships. Tell them to begin the ring disruption sequence, and get me a direct line to Titan control. The battle plan that followed would later be studied in military academies across Earth as either brilliant insanity or insane brilliance. For 3 days, human mining ships had been strategically destabilizing sections of Saturn's rings, creating gravitational eddies and debris fields that would seem random to alien sensors. Meanwhile, a third of the human fleet had concealed itself within Titan's thick atmosphere, using the moon's unique composition to mask their quantum signatures. Alien fleet entering the outer ring system, Mendoza reported. Their formation is interesting. Rahman studied the approaching armada. The aliens had clearly learned from their previous encounters, arranging their ships in a complex 3-dimensional matrix that combined elements of both their traditional perfect geometry and human-style adaptive positioning. It was an impressive attempt at evolution, but it still revealed their fundamental weakness. They were trying to find the perfect solution to an imperfect problem. They still don't understand, Rahman mused. They think they can adapt their perfection to match our chaos. But chaos isn't something you match. It's something you embrace. The battle began with what appeared to be a desperate human gambit. The visible portion of the human fleet charged directly at the alien armada, their hybrid drives creating deliberate interference patterns that looked like battle damage. The aliens, perhaps remembering the trap at Mars, held their formation instead of pursuing. That's when the rings themselves seemed to come alive. The carefully planned destabilization cascaded through the debris field, creating waves of ice and rock that moved in ways that defied normal orbital mechanics. Alien ships found their perfect formation disrupted by gravitational forces that shouldn't exist, their complex defensive screens struggling to compensate for debris approaching from supposedly impossible vectors. Titan fleet, execute emergence, Rahman ordered. From the atmosphere of Saturn's largest moon, 17 human ships burst forth, their hybrid drives temporarily transformed into electromagnetic propulsion systems by interaction with Titan's unique magnetic field. The effect was similar to a mass driver, launching the ships at velocities that even their advanced alien counterparts struggled to track. The alien fleet's response was predictable. They attempted to adapt their formation to counter this new threat, trying to create a perfect defense against an inherently imperfect attack. Instead, they only succeeded in creating more vulnerabilities for the human forces to exploit. They're trying to establish a quantum correlation field between their ships, Mendoza reported. Same tactic they tried at Mars. But this time, they think they've solved the vulnerability. Raman noted. Look at the field modulation. They're trying to account for chaos patterns. She allowed herself a grim smile. Too bad chaos doesn't follow patterns. All ships execute Symphony Protocol. What followed was perhaps the most complex coordinated action ever attempted by human forces. Every ship in the fleet began operating its hybrid drive systems in deliberately different ways, creating a cacophony of quantum signatures that appeared random, but actually followed a complex mathematical sequence based on music theory. The alien correlation field, attempting to adapt to what it perceived as random noise, instead found itself being subtly manipulated into a resonance pattern. Field cascade in 30 seconds. Mendoza counted down. Their entire command and control network is about to experience what humans call a brown note. The collapse when it came was spectacular. The alien quantum correlation field didn't just fail, it turned into a weapon against its own ships. Vessels that had been perfectly synchronized found their systems operating out of phase with each other. Weapons fired at the wrong moments, shields activated in the wrong directions, and communication systems broadcast contradictory orders. All ships, execute attack plan Epsilon, Raman commanded. Show them why humans still study chaos theory. The human fleet struck from multiple vectors, their apparent disorder concealing a deeper pattern of coordinated independence. Each ship operated as its own unit, while still contributing to the larger battle plan. When the aliens tried to predict human movements based on previous patterns, they found only new variations. When they attempted to isolate and destroy individual ships, they discovered that every human vessel had been trained to adapt its tactics based on the actions of its companions. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the alien armada had been reduced to less than 40 operational ships, which retreated in disarray. The human fleet had lost 23 vessels, a heavy toll, but one that had purchased something priceless. Proof that humanity could stand against the most powerful forces in the galaxy. As recovery operations began, Raman received a transmission from one of the retreating alien vessels. The message was longer this time, and carried a different tone than previous communications. We do not understand how you achieve victory through disorder. But we recognize that there are kinds of order we have not yet comprehended. Perhaps there is something we could learn from each other. Raman thought carefully before responding. Understanding isn't always about finding the perfect answer. Sometimes it's about learning to ask better questions. The Battle of Saturn marked more than just a military victory. It represented humanity's coming of age as a spacefaring species. They had proven that their unique approach to space combat, embracing chaos while maintaining coordination, valuing adaptation over perfection, wasn't just a stopgap measure but a viable long-term strategy. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had earned its place among the stars, not by becoming more like their adversaries, but by remaining true to their own nature. The age of rigid perfection was ending, and a new era of adaptive evolution was about to begin. Beyond the dark, Chief Engineer Zara Chen stood in the central design hub of the Neptune shipyards, watching as the holographic display rendered humanity's most ambitious project yet. The UES Prometheus wasn't just another hybrid warship, it represented an entirely new philosophy of space combat design. The aliens still don't understand what we're trying to build, her assistant, Dr. James O'Neill, remarked as they reviewed the latest simulation results. Their diplomatic liaison keeps asking why we're deliberately introducing inefficiencies into the design. That's because they're still thinking in terms of perfection versus imperfection, Chen replied, manipulating the hologram to highlight the ship's neural interface system. They don't understand that we're not building a machine. We're building an ecosystem. The Prometheus represented the culmination of everything humanity had learned about space combat. Unlike traditional designs, both human and alien, which tried to eliminate variables and maximize predictability, this ship was designed to thrive on controlled uncertainty. Its hybrid power core actually performed better when operating slightly out of normal parameters. Its quantum field generators created deliberately irregular patterns that could adapt to any form of attack. Most revolutionary of all was its neural interface system. While alien ships relied on artificial intelligence to manage their complex systems, the Prometheus would be partially controlled by a direct mental link with its crew. Human intuition and creativity would be amplified by technology, not replaced by it. Final systems check complete, O'Neill reported. All irregularity parameters are within acceptable chaos ranges. Chen nodded, studying the readouts. Begin the power-up sequence. Let's see if this crazy idea actually works. The Prometheus's first activation was unlike anything seen before in human or alien engineering. As power flowed through its systems, the ship didn't settle into a steady state. Instead, it began to pulse with a rhythm that almost seemed alive. Quantum field generators spun up not in perfect synchronization, but in a complex pattern that resembled a heartbeat. Neural interface online, O'Neill announced. First crew linkage in 3, 2, 1. Captain Sarah Martinez, chosen to be the Prometheus's first commander, gasped as the neural connection activated. It's not what I expected, she reported, her eyes wide with wonder. I can feel the ship, but not like a machine. It's more like feeling the ocean when you're swimming in it. The next 3 months of trials proved that the Prometheus was more than just an evolutionary step in ship design. It was a revolution in how living beings could interact with technology. The ship's systems learned from its crew, adapting to their individual styles and preferences. The crew, in turn, learned to think in new ways, their minds expanded by the ship's unique perspective on space and time. It's not just a weapon, Martinez explained to the Admiralty Board. It's a new way of existing in space. We're not fighting against the chaos of the universe anymore. We're becoming part of it. The true test came sooner than anyone expected. A new alien fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system, but this time they came not as conquerors but as students. Their ships still maintained their geometric precision, but they requested permission to observe human space combat exercises. Chen watched from the Prometheus's engineering section as Captain Martinez demonstrated the ship's capabilities. The alien observers were treated to a display that must have seemed like pure chaos to their sensibilities. The Prometheus moved through space in ways that defied conventional physics, its quantum fields shifting and adapting moment by moment, its very structure seeming to flow like liquid metal. Their sensors must be going crazy, O'Neill remarked, monitoring the alien ship's reactions. That's because they're still trying to measure things that can't be measured, Chen replied. They're looking for patterns when they should be feeling the dance. The alien response came in a formal communication to Earth's government. We have witnessed something that challenges our understanding of civilization itself. You have not merely created new technology. You have forged a new path of evolution. We request the opportunity to learn. What followed was unprecedented in galactic history. The aliens didn't just study human technology. They began to explore human philosophy, art, and culture. They discovered that humanity's chaotic approach to space combat was rooted in deeper truths about adaptation, creativity, and the relationship between living beings and their environment. The Prometheus became the template for a new class of vessels that spread throughout human space. Each ship was unique, its systems shaped by the personalities and intuitions of its crew. Some specialized in exploration, others in defense, but all shared the core philosophy that had led humanity to victory. The understanding that true strength comes not from imposing order on chaos, but from learning to dance with it. We were wrong about so many things, the alien liaison admitted to Chen during the ceremonial launch of the second Prometheus-class vessel. We thought perfection was the highest achievement of civilization. You showed us that perfection is just the beginning of the journey, not its end. Chen watched as the new ship powered up, its quantum fields creating patterns that resembled aurora borealis in space. That's the real secret, she said. We never tried to master space. We learned to let space master us, and in doing so, we found a way to grow beyond our limitations. As the Prometheus-class ships began their patrols of human space, they carried with them more than just advanced technology. They represented a new chapter in the story of consciousness itself, a future where the boundaries between living and machine, order and chaos, self and universe, became not walls to break down but doorways to step through. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had shown the way forward, not through conquest or technological superiority, but through the willingness to embrace uncertainty, to learn from failure, and to find strength in the very chaos that others feared. The age of rigid perfection was over. The age of conscious evolution had begun. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, the future was watching, wondering what humanity would teach the universe next.